Okay, so let's go back and take a look from the very beginning. Now, this is the opinion section. So if you do not like people's opinions, you have been warned. Okay, Outlaws, let's cut it. Let's cut it. Cut and dry and dry. I think this is damage control. Why do I think that? For several chapters now, for like a year and some change, we've basically watched Casca just try to see Guts, and then she freaks out, like associates him with the eclipse and like massive trauma tied to him. We saw that when Shirke and Farnese put her back together in her mind that he was a dog dragging her coffin, and they weren't able to fully complete her broken self, her broken entity. And a lot of people, some people who are honest, talk about it, say that doesn't make any sense. Seems like Casca doesn't really like Griffith anyways. And a lot of people have that opinion. Most people I talk to about Berserk have the opinion that shares with me. Online community is obviously different. There's a large portion, especially the Twitter crowd, that's very hardcore Guts and Casca shippers. And they want to continue that romance. And I have seen Twitter campaigns where they send volumes of letters to Studio Gaga to influence them to continue this romance. And what I think we're seeing here is damage control. Kentaro Miura has passed away. It's been 2 years pretty much. He's gone. Okay. Studio Gaga is a business. Koji Mori is a businessman. They have a business to run. And Berserk is no longer the secluded manga or like reference manga it once was. It has definitely been shoved into the mainstream. And the Twitter mob came and they attacked. The cancel mob came and attacked. And they have a foothold on Twitter, even with Elon Musk buying it. And I believe we're seeing the influence of this. This chapter just doesn't make any sense. It's a very abrupt 180 with Casca's interactions with Guts. Now, people get mad. They say, well, there's that one scene, where she gets all prettied up in a dress and then she wants to go see Guts. And it's like, yeah, but then she freaks out because she associates him with the eclipse and just loses her mind and goes nuts. And then she makes zero effort to go and communicate with him still. And if you're going through trauma, you don't really want to be, you do isolate yourself a little bit, but you also you tend to cling to people that you care about a lot and that you can associate that trauma with. For her, it's just like she just forgot about him and he was left outside just hanging out. And then that's kind of set the stage for Guts and Skull Knight to take off on their own adventure deep into the astral plane. And that's what Kentaro Miura talked about in his last interview, is that, hey, it's going to be kind of like focused on Skull Knight for a while, but still primarily also focused on Guts. Like Guts will still be the main protagonist. So I see this as damage control. It's a harsh 180. It doesn't make sense because she's like fighting tooth and nail. All of a sudden just can't stop thinking about Guts, when really she just kind of forgot about him and instead focused on her child, the Moon Child. And then she got like hanging out. She was fighting some weird Viking-looking armor suits and whatnot, and dueling and kind of becoming a normal person. And Guts was always just off on the side to the point where he's like, well, now what do I do? And then people get upset about it because they're like, oh, well, Guts and Casca and Guts. It's like, she just doesn't like him as much. And then I think this is just a sudden, abrupt 180 that honestly a lot of people should be able to see. This whole chapter doesn't make any sense. Like, yes, it's a dream days. Obviously, Griffith is influencing her mind. But now all of a sudden she's freaking the heck out and has to get back to Guts at all costs. Where was this energy and effort when Guts was literally just sitting right outside on the porch? It wasn't there. It didn't exist. And then she kept having mind-breaking trauma. So I think what happened is that Kentaro Miura and Studio Gaga were kind of in a writer's hole. And then they had to yank themselves out of the writer's hole and do an abrupt 180. And the only way for them to do that was to set this whole thing up, have Guts just have like massive soul-crushing depression. The Guts and Casca hardcore shippers, at least the people that really want it to be the way they want it to be, have influenced Studio Gaga, and Studio Gaga just like, okay, fine, we'll make this whole chapter about her trying to get back to Guts and showing so much energy to feed you guys what you want. And honestly, that could be a good business move on their end. Because again, Berserk is no longer a secluded manga. It is out in the mainstream, and mainstream people are going to want to consume this. So that's kind of where I'm standing at right now. For Griffith, it looks like we're also setting up his next move, his next campaign. He wants to go to the east. This will also help give Studio Gaga some room and some time to fully flesh out and finalize how Casca will interact with Griffith or confront Griffith or whatever is going to end up happening with him. Also help keep going the Moonchild thing going for a while. The Moonchild's kind of like the little baby Yoda thing in the Mandalorian. It's like, oh, the cutesy little guy. Second only to Puck, obviously, because even Kentaro Miura said, like, I don't really like making products about Berserk, but Puck makes great products. So that's what I'm seeing right here, and I think it's just damage control. It doesn't make any sense. It's very abrupt. It's very like, she's like losing her mind, has to get back tooth and nail. She's never fought this hard for Guts, ever. She's only fought this hard for Griffith, and it's like she hated Guts when she was Elaine. It was very well recognized. She did not like him. And then Kentaro Miura fixed it in her mindscape and then kind of like made her like, oh, have fond memories of him, saw that. And I think that was really for the fans. I think that was smart of Kentaro Miura to do that. And then Studio Gaga has been, I believe, heavily influenced by the Twitter crowd, bullied even, and they're like going to give them what they want. Because this just, it doesn't make any sense. And also like this scene right here, it's like, why would you point all your pointy spears and halberds at your Lord and Savior's basically waifu at this point? That doesn't make any sense at all. I think this is again just Studio Gaga trying to show off how awesome and girl bossy Casca is. It just like that doesn't make any sense. It's like they should even have their halberds. They should be trying to like grab her with their hands and hold her down or whatever. What's going on? But instead, it's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna point our pointy sticks. It's like, what's gonna happen is she accidentally rushes forward and you stab her. How are you gonna explain that to Griffith? Like, get out of here. So it just reeks of damage control. That's my opinion. Okay, now third part. Moving forward. I think they're going to shove any and all notion of Guts and Farnese, which was my belief, getting together, completely off to the side. I think Guts is going to go on his own campaign with Skull Knight, and they're going to shove Farnese into a hole with her captain or with Shirke and then lock those characters together and move them off. That way there's no notion whatsoever that a Guts and Farnese romance will ever exist, even though it was heavily implied and shown and set up by Kentaro Miura when he was still writing in his prime. And I really think the reason why they want to do that is because the modern Twitter crowd has influenced Studio Gaga and will continue to influence them. So I'm not so keen on my theory anymore because this is too abrupt of a 180 with Casca like jumping up and screaming like for first thoughts or of Guts when it really is like your child that you saw transform into the Griffith guy that you had a infatuation with your entire life basically. So I think it's just damage control. With Casca, I think what's going to happen is Griffith's going to take off into a campaign, and then he is going to just do his own thing. They're going to illustrate that, fighting, and then she's going to kind of slowly piece together what's going on here in Falconia and slowly get out of her daze. She'll probably be visited by Moonchild again because, you have to keep that thing going on. I think Farnese, Shirke are going to go on their own adventure to try to help Casca or help get Casca back. I think that Farnese has been permanently shoved off to the side because we saw that in the boat too, where it's like Farnese was set up to be the person who could heal someone's mind and could conduct healing. But instead of like her going in there helping piece Guts back together, which would further tie in the romance or potential romance, she instead got shoved off, and then the weird good-looking witch came around and girl bossed everybody around and was like, you do this, you do that, even though Guts and his party should be absolute complete professionals at this point and be telling everybody else how to handle chaos and destruction. Serpico, he's kind of died off, honestly. I don't see him doing too much. But anyways, I don't want to go too far into it because this has been a long one, and I don't really have much. I have a little too much to say. I could go on forever. That's my personal thoughts. We will see. Supposedly, we're going to get Chapter 373 coming out soon here in May again. Who knows? All right, Outlaws. We'll see you next time.